when you are being pressured by time, you grow a lot, but you don't fully integrate what you learn. So you don't necessarily become wiser. You just know more.
When you think about that moment again, what is the emotion that you feel?
None. If you want to have a life that is filled with energy, vitality, fulfillment, resilience, there are two things that you have to do. It's just two things.
If a person reacted that way, it could also mean that before that horrible event happened, the disconnect is already there, right? Because if the connection before that thing happened is strong, how the person would react can be different.
You need to go through a divorce process with your own past self that was compliant to everything that everyone is telling you what you are and what to do. You don't have to be marrying somebody to get a divorce. You can divorce yourself as well.
Salam everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It doesn't matter what time you're watching. Welcome back to Learning Living with me, Ali. And today, again, we have a special guest all the way from Zurich, Switzerland. I said all the way because I'm all the way here in Indonesia. She is the founder of Uplift My Life Today. She is a transformation catalyst and a subconscious mind reprogrammer. This is something very, very interesting. And even just from the institution that she founded, Uplift My Life Today, I think knowing her for a long time now, it's exactly what I always felt every time that I talk to her, Mbak Ade, Astuti Martosudirdjo, or I usually call her Mbak Ade, always uplift my life every time I interact with her. So I'm very, very happy that you are here, Mbak Ade. How are you?
Thank you. Lovely to be here. I'm well. Thank you. I'm excited for this conversation.
Me as well. I'm very, very excited because we've been planning to do this for a while. And I'm very grateful that now you're taking the time that you have time that we can schedule this to record this. I'm sure this is going to not just uplift my life, but everyone who's watching this and who's listening to this as well. And I would like to jump right away with what you do. You said that you're a transformation catalyst and a subconscious mind reprogrammer. Can you explain what that is and why you do what you do?
Yes, of course. I love the question because it gives me the opportunity to find out how to explain my job every time better. So, yes, I am the founder of Uplift My Life Today. I will start from there. So people ask me, what is Uplift My Life Today? Is it a company? Yes, it is, because it is on legal term, my company. But for me, when I set it up, it is actually a transformational space. So I wanted to create an energetical space because I work 100% virtually, where I can offer people a safe space to go through their transformation, right? And what does transformation means? Transformation means that it's a journey from where you were when you start the journey to another destination that has an element of upliftment that you set where you want to go. Okay, so it could be anything, but it's always higher or better or much more lighter than when you start the journey. So as a transformation catalyst, what I do is I offer a space to hold them and have them sitting with me. I offer my energy to help them to elevate their energy. And I also offer a facilitated process for them to go through that transformation. And I call myself a catalyst is because my existence in everybody's process is that I allow the journey to be faster and deeper at the same time than when they didn't have a catalyst.
And when you say you give your energy, well, can you explain what do you mean by giving energy? What does that mean?
Yes, presence. That's what it means. Presence. So when people come to me, they usually could not go through a certain transformation by themselves is because there are certain things that block it. Yeah. And the blockages that they had usually are connected to wounds.
Wounds, okay.
Yeah. That they experience either in their own life journey or that they inherit some wounds that inherited in the family system. So trauma that was not processed.
So when you said wounds, you mean emotional wounds?
Yes.
Okay.
Emotional
Yes.
wounds,
Yeah.
spiritual wounds, emotional wounds, sometimes physical wounds as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they needed to go through certain processes to help their body to heal better. And it's always connected to the energy that they have. So, and people are healing when they're being held by certain energy. So there's an energetic exchange. This conversation, Ali, if you feel better at the end of the conversation between me and you, it's not just the content or the thoughts, it's also my energy is holding this conversation, that there's some alchemical exchange processes happening. Okay.
Yeah.
So the easiest way to imagine this, if you have a conversation with somebody who's very stressed, very likely you may get stressed as you're having a conversation with them. If you are having a conversation with somebody who's very loving, you probably come out from the conversation feeling loved, right? So that's what I mean by energy. So I show up in the session as a catalyst, not only through the knowledge that I have, the wisdom that I have, but also my energy. And actually, the energy is the largest and most important, because sometimes, even when you don't give something new into the conversation, but you show up in being present and being open to share your energy that is in high vibration, right? They will feel better. They will feel better. That's what happens with the baby.
Can you explain?
Baby doesn't know what you're talking about, but when you hold them with love, they thrive. You see?
How about if let's say uh, our presence, we are presence with sharing our energy, a positive energy, a high vibrational energy, um, and the other person is on a stress mode, like you said, so in a lower frequency, lower vibration, and you said so the energy that we share, it can help him or her to level up, to up, or we
Yeah.
can be like to uplift, if I can use
Yes.
to uplift their level of energy, right?
Correct.
But could it also be the other way around?
Yes. If you
We are
are,
able to share, but because they're the negative energy or the low vibration that this other person in front of us is at the moment is having, so, and it affects us instead of us affecting him or her.
Very quickly, there's a research that reveals a universal pattern of phases that people go through in their journey of discovering and living their life purpose. And you can learn and find out in which phase am I in right now, and what's the next phase, and most importantly, how do I get there? Find your answers in Uncover Your Unique Purpose, a comprehensive and practical guide to discovering your life purpose. It's a research-based book and as well covered with all the exercise you'll need to discover your unique purpose. Get this book now and take a real step to your most unique self-discovery journey. This book is available on Amazon worldwide. And now, let's go back to the conversation.
Share, but because they're the negative energy or the low vibration that this other person in front of us is at the moment is having, so, and it affects us instead of us affecting him or her.
it can happen. It can happen because it goes both ways. Now, as a catalyst, this is why it's a catalyst, I have to have a way to stay me throughout the whole connection, despite how low the vibration of my client is. Okay, so how do I do this? I keep my vibration really, really up, and I do measures when we have conversations so that I don't get dragged down, because you would know. You're not supposed, when you are when you're holding other people, especially because this is what you do, right? It's different when you are with your friends, right? With your, I don't always try to manage everything when I'm with my friends. Sometimes I'm the one who's like, oh my God, which is just like being me, and they take turns to hold me, right? But we have to learn to manage this, and that's part of life skills. Because if you want to be in authentic connection and in loving, compassionate connection, you have first and foremost needs to be able to hold your energy, regardless how low is the energy of the other person. And as a catalyst like me, we have to do so much behind the scene to be able to do that for an extended period of time. And even then, after the session, we need to check in again. Am I carrying something here from my clients? Because it's not mine, right? So
sorry, go ahead.
yes. So as to what you're asking, can you be impacted negatively? Yes, there were times in the past, especially in the beginning of my career, I was coming out from the session exhausted. Like, you're supposed to use energy. So there's a normal level of exhaustion. But when it goes way beyond that, then you know something is triggering you or triggering me in this case. And that's when I have to take responsibility of, I need to get to the bottom of what is it in me that gets triggered, and then work through it. And that's how you become a very good energy holder, is because you are healing yourself all the time. You see? And I'm one of those people, Ali, that never not going through an inner process that all my clients were going through. Like, this is a thing that I do, like eating and drinking, is that I keep on working on myself. It never stopped. But that was an information that I learned before I took on this path. Somebody who I consider as a mentor was saying, you have an opportunity brilliantly to help people, but you have to understand that you have to continuously working on yourself so you are able to hold people. And the kind of trauma that came to me, these are quite heavy trauma. Like, I work with young refugees right now to help them to process the trauma. This is, before I started, I always go through this extensive check-in with myself. What do I need to heal within myself so I can hold them steady, lovingly, with an open heart in the session, because that's what is going to help. So they can then let go, they can then allow themselves to connect and cry and all this and know that they're held well. Yeah?
Yeah. And how do you prepare for that? What do you do when you said you're preparing or you're working behind the scene? What did you do behind the scene before and after the session?
Before, after, and in between. So I always, because I understand that my energy will impact the session. Okay. Yeah. So I do energetical clearing for myself before every session and after every sessions, because whenever I sit with clients, there's so much emotion exchange, right? And people just really, and when I say emotions, this is energy. Sometimes I would say it's an energetic balls. Okay. So you just go, you clear, and then I would then have to make sure that when I was dealing with a lot of clearance of energy, that I am able to acknowledge, hold what is being cleared and letting go without taking anything to me. So before the session, I always have to make sure that I'm a clean vessel for this. That means I'm trying to get to a certain vibration within myself, the highest possible that day. And so there will be times when I am also human, right? I'm impacted by situations. And because I am energetically sensitive, something happens in the world, it can knock me down sometimes because it's so much bigger than me. So there are days when I feel like today may not be the best day to hold people's emotions. So I give myself the permission to even say to my clients, There are days when, unfortunately, I need to reschedule. It's not because of you, but it's because I'm processing and holding a lot. And we have this understanding, and everybody, without a doubt, they're like, yourself, your well-being is very important for me. So yes, we can reschedule. So we have this connection from the beginning, because I explained to them, if you're not well and you're not in the position to be able to process a lot when you need to meet me, just tell me 24 hours before. We can always reschedule. It's no issue, because this is quite deep work, right? So they would return the favor. So I have the responsibility to clean my energy before the session. So if I'm going through a really bad day, then I have to learn to center myself and to put myself in a certain energetic space where my existence only good for this session. Okay? Everything else needs to wait. Everything else needs to wait. And then when I am in the session, I'm doing my best to stay present, because being present is very important to hear things that people don't say. Okay. And when you are healthy in yourself, you're not scared to ask a question. It took me a while to do this, right? Because in the beginning of my career, I get nervous because I could hear something, but I'm like,
Can you give an example?
Yeah. So for example, I could hear like they're not telling me but I could sense because my channel is open. I could sense there's some anger in my client system, but they're not touching it. Okay. So they don't even realize it was there. So when it happened in the beginning of my career, I was like, should I go there or not? Oh my God, maybe I had all these things. But that's because I wasn't really centered in myself. When I'm centered in myself, then I could hear my intuition say, it's time to go, and go there, do it gently. And then I just do it. And then the person go, oh my God, I didn't realize I'm that angry with my mother. And this is the key to the deeper healing, right? So then the anger started to show up. And then when anger showed up, we need to honor it. It is extremely uncomfortable. And the person is not used to deal with anger, but I'm not scared by anger anymore, right? So then I hold and help him to go through the buildup of the anger and breathing out. And there are times when I even had I wanted to scream right now, like really from as deep as you can. Are you sure? I said, yes, do it. And it was like, I need to go. And then they would feel so much better. It's like 30 years of repressed anger, right? But I hear it because they were not going there. Were they ready to do it? Yes, because I was ready to hold them. Okay? That's what a catalyst is, Ali.
Yeah. Wow, this is just the very beginning, and it's super fascinating. I have so many questions I'd like to ask. But first, let's start with this. We haven't even gone to the second part, which is subconscious mind reprogrammer. Still in this part, even though I know it's very much connected as well. I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
But when we say people wants to transform, when you're being a catalyst to enable someone to transform, usually people come to you because there's a challenge or an issue that they're dealing with, and they want to transform that into to feel better, to improve their quality of life and all that, right?
Yes.
Now,
correct.
What is it that usually become the main issues, the main issue, or the most common issues that you've seen, like people are facing when it comes to transforming? What is the issue that they always the similarities? Is there any such thing?
There's no such thing.
There's no such thing.
No, but the root causes are a lot similar.
Which is?
Okay, so the symptoms are all kinds, like agoraphobia, depression, anxiety, burnout, or I'm not yet promoted for the past 5 years, or I feel dead in my relationship, or I had an affair, or all kinds. And I also work with the children of my clients. These are even like, they can't even tell you because I speak through their parents, right? Like cutting themselves or pulling their hair or whatever it is. So there's no one of the same.
Yeah.
But I find out that there is a one root cause, and there are a number of levels of in between the root cause and the symptoms. and basically the connection, the fundamental connection, the fundamental root cause is very simple. They don't feel that they are loved or loved enough. That's it.
They don't feel
they are not, they themselves feel like, I am everything other than love itself. And then I also don't have enough love in my life. And they say it in many different, so there could be a number of reasons why this happened. It could be because they experience some kind of abandonment or neglect or some kind of trauma or whatever. There's so many different variety, but at the end, it's like, I'm not okay being me because I'm not loved. It's not okay to be me. It's not safe to be me. And all this is so deep in the roots, right? That's the commonalities. On the top, this could look like everything.
But is it something like the way I interpret what you just said? You said the person feels like I'm not okay to be me, and
it's not safe to be me.
It's not safe to be. It means in his or her perception, to be who I really am, there's a risk that I will not be loved, or I will not get enough love from my
or the other
surroundings.
thing, yes. And there's a third thing, that I will hurt people when I am me.
I will hurt. Okay.
Okay.
By being it will risk other people will get hurt.
Yes, it will create danger for other people. And this is not conscious. They won't tell you this when they come into the session. My job, it's not. They come to me with symptoms. That's all. That's all that's all they need. And I'm asking them, so how would you like to feel? And they say, I would like to feel confident when I'm asking for promotion. It's very, very simplistic and very tangible. But the journey to transform, we go into the depth of the depth, because that's where we're going to start healing the root cause of this. It's like, if you're a tree, Ali, you see the quality of your branch and also leaves is very much dependent on the quality of your roots. Okay, so if you have unhealthy roots, you will not produce fruits, you will not have vibrant leaves or branches, right? So when they come to me telling me, oh, my leaves are dying, I don't produce as many leaves, okay? And I haven't had fruits for years. I should be able to produce fruits if you are a tree, okay? So what I do is, okay, so you would like to have healthier leaves and you will be able to produce fruits? Yes, okay. So then the journey, the Uplift My Life Today healing space is the whole thing to understand what is happening, what is causing your roots not to be healthy. That's where we go. They don't need to know what it is because the session will show it. That's the beauty.
So
they
it's
just
like,
have to do, yeah.
Sorry, I'm sorry. So it's a journey of unveiling the root issue.
Yeah.
And
this is really, really, really deep that they may not even know they had it.
And
that's why we work with the subconscious mind. So just to bridge it.
Right.
Yeah.
And if the root cause is mainly not feeling loved enough, I'm not loved enough, and so it's very much related with self-love. right?
Self-love and love, uh, your pure energy. Okay, so let me just
Yeah,
love.
please
Okay, yeah,
elaborate.
exactly. So I just had a session with the young refugee yesterday. Yeah, and they wanted that the next 16 weeks they will have much more emotional resilience. It's very, very difficult. I mean, I don't know how it feels like to be a refugee, right? Like, but I know it's very traumatizing. So there were two things I said to them, and this is what I said to all my clients. If you want to have a life that is filled with energy, vitality, fulfillment, resilience, there are two things that you have to do. It's just two things. One is you embody your authentic self. And two, you create a life that is in alignment with your authentic self. So we had to start with, what is authentic self?
Yes, that would be
Right?
my next question. Thank you.
Exactly. So I said, okay, let's go directly there. Where are you coming from? Not country, but your soul. Where is it coming from? Is it coming from a creator? And they said, yes. Okay, so what is the energy of your creator? Is it love? Yes. So then you're love. It's simple.
Hmm.
Love, or the perception of lack of love, creates wars.
The perception of lack of love creates wars.
War. There is a huge there's a huge distance between that, I am love, to war, right? But it's not that far.
That's
Because
deep.
if you, yeah, that's very deep. It's very deep, but this is the key.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, it's very simple. If people can have more love, I said to them, right? Is your love, is your God is love? Yes. Okay. So it's very easy. This whole process that you're going to go through in these 16 weeks or for the rest of your life, and you're going to learn to do it even without support from people like me, is very simple. How can I embody more love every day and less of anything else that is not love or emotions that is equal, similar vibration with love, like peace, joy, all these things, right? That's it. And if you are love, so Ali, just look at me as a catalyst. If I embody love and I embody the spectrum of high love, I sit with you, you will feel better. And it's
Yeah.
not temporarily better. Your energy and my energy are having this a chemical process that you feel better, and you can't even tell yourself, why do I feel better? It doesn't matter why, because you may not want, you don't want to lose that again. You just then let me then adjust my thoughts to match this feeling. When you embody a higher frequency of love, all statements like I'm a loser can't even stick long. It cannot stick. It pops up when you feel bad about, making a mistake. You're like, oh my God, I'm a loser. It cannot linger long because it doesn't match with how you truly are. You see? It can come up, but it will dissipate quickly. But if you didn't have a lot more love in you than fear or anger or shame or guilt, then this I'm a loser will stay long because it matched the energy in you. So what I'm saying to them is, regardless what you have or don't have, the journey is that how can you embody more love, and how can you let go of the fear, the shame, often.
And if that is something that has been experienced repeatedly, and then it goes into the subconscious, and meanwhile our subconscious, as we both know, it's basically like 90 to 95% of our daily thoughts are subconscious. That's why to transform it, it requires us to in a way to enter or to access our subconscious and to reprogram that, right?
Correct.
And how can we do that?
First,
Is it
yes,
subconscious? How can we access and then reprogram?
the fundamental is a choice. It's choosing, right? Like we are told so many things by everybody since we were a child. You are good because, and this is through judgment of other people towards you. It's not necessarily that you think I'm good because of this, right? So the first step, if you wanted to take charge of your life, is you make a decision. Now I'm the one who says what is good for me. Okay, now I am. That's the first choice.
Do you
I'm not
think a lot
talking
of
about
people
the how.
don't realize that?
Sorry?
Do you think a lot of people don't realize that?
No, because people just autopiloting in life, right? I was autopiloting in my life until I experienced burnout. That was the biggest slap I ever had because my body and my brain didn't connect anymore. So I had to go like, how did this happen? I thought I was doing a good job. No, I thought I was doing a good job. I was excelling everything that was set for me. I didn't set it. It came from the company that I work for. It came from my parents. A part of me was wanting to rebel, but it was like, is it even possible? You know, there was a lot of inner conversation whether it is possible or not. Actually, it is, but you have to choose first, because the reason why you have to choose first is because after that, you need to go through a divorce process. Okay? You need to go through a divorce process with your own past self that was compliant to everything that everyone is telling you what you are and what to do. Okay? Secondary to this divorce is you will divorce habits, patterns, all these things that you've been married to, so loyal and keep for decades. You don't have to be marrying somebody to get a divorce. You can divorce yourself as well. Okay? So, and then when you already divorce a lot of the things, and this is what a catalyst would do for you, is to help you to be realizing what it is. And then you're like, okay, then who do I want to be married with? So what beliefs that you want to keep and be loyal to and have it part of your life every day? What patterns and habits that you would like to keep in your life based on a choice that I want to live from a place of authenticity. This becomes very fun and creative because you could have anything you want. You just have to choose and then go, but then what if I make a mistake? Then you try again another. It's like, let's just use life as an exploration journey instead of thinking like I had to figure it out all the time. If you ask me, I'm still evolving all the time. How I do work 2 years ago is no longer how I do my work today. Because I'm not the same person. You see?
But when you said like you also experienced burnout as well, and you felt disconnected, and that was your journey that led you to who you are today and what you do.
Correct.
And
Correct.
and also these people, your clients, they come to you, they have these challenges that they're facing and they want to transform. Now, from these examples, it's unfortunately it's always people experiencing something very, very bad first in order to transform.
Correct.
My
Usually
question
this
now,
is.
yeah, usually that's the case. But is that always the case? Can we transform like in a significant way and positive way without having to go through some really down moments like that?
Yes, it is possible because that's how I do mine now.
That's how you do yours now.
Yes, I don't need a big crisis, but it's coming from a different perspective, Ali. It comes from a place of what am I called to unleash potential-wise? So there's no issue.
It means the transformation of yourself is still going on, right? Because
yes, of course.
One of them happened because something the burnout, but now it's still happening. But the trigger doesn't have to be something negative.
No,
anymore.
No,
Okay.
no.
Yeah. Please elaborate more. Go ahead.
Yes, for most people, in my case, I was autopiloting without knowing I was autopiloting. I recognize, and I had the question in my head at the time before the burnout, why am I feeling this? When it doesn't make sense to feel this way, right? About my life, about myself. But why do I feel that? But I didn't know what to do with this. I don't know how to get the information out. I didn't know that you can get help for this, right? And then you keep on living with this question and keep doing the same thing again and again and again. When a question popped up in your consciousness, this is an invitation to assess. And then when you ignore it, it will come again. And it's louder. And then you ignore it again because you don't know what it means. And then at some point, life was just, okay, keep on. And then you're going to hit the wall. That's okay. You know, it's not me. Life was just, I just hit the wall and then we'll help you because you're not listening. Okay. So in my case, because of what I was doing, fit with the expectations of good person or successful person, to be precise, good and successful person, the system around me didn't recognize there's something really wrong with this. Because the expectation came from them, right? To be able to be put in the top 2% of top performer in the bank that I was working for, you need to be able to deliver this consistently. That was their definition. Now, me looking back, you're like, this is not very human, actually, expecting you to grow a lot every time because there's no time for integration. And that's what happened. When you are being pressured by time, you grow a lot, but you don't fully integrate what you learn. So you don't necessarily become wiser. You just know more. You don't embody your wisdom. You think about your wisdom, but you don't embody it. And that's why the body, that's why you still don't have good connection with your body. And your body is actually the most loyal companion because it always screams whenever you are denying something for it. So it's this annoying when I was in the heading towards burnout, it was this annoying part of myself that is screaming all the time. Like, you need to sleep more. And I'm like, no, you're just arguing with it. I don't need sleep. I have a lot to do. I have this responsibility. I have to carry people, blah, 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 blah. But your body is one that is always loyal, is always there. And it is the one that is allowing you to experience life. But it's the one that is the one that I neglected the most. And most people do that. Not all people, but a lot of people do that. So when we start from something tragic, and usually a lot of people go through tragic beginning or ending, right? And that this is when they're like coming to me because there is a crisis that I'm facing right now, or a lot of the time it's like this. And so we have to get to a place where the person finally feels like they can breathe. There's a process to it, like to breathe and to listen, to hear themselves more. And they will eventually move from living with fear of experiencing what they did into, now I'm in the zone where I want to live, to experience something that I want. You see? So it's moving from fear zone into possibility zone. I recognize this in my burnout. The first, I think, year and a half, because it took me in total 2.5 years to fully recover, fully on all sense, physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental. It took me probably about a year and a half to recognize that, because you experience burnout and you get scared, right? And then you're like, okay, I'm committing now. What do I need to do? Not to go. But I was driven by the motivation of, I'm going to do this so I do not experience again what I did, right? And this going on, this is a motivation. It's a good motivation, but it's very fear-driven motivation. And then at some point, I recognized this shift because I said, I also recognize that I cannot continue being motivated by fear of experiencing what I did, because it's still fear, right? But then I said, okay, so how do I shift then? What do I need to shift that I am no longer fearful, but I'm living because of the possibilities that I can manifest into my life, and not scared so much that I will be getting burnout again. You see what I'm saying? There
Yeah.
is a transition where the motivation of you doing what the inner work is to enjoy more what you are feeling now, because you're not scared anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So coming back to you, when you're already in this zone where it's about the excitement for the possibility, you transform. But it's not so much about what problem do I have. It could be little problems, and you're like, why am I not able to shift this pattern? Let me work on it, right? But it's not like I'm about to die now,
Yeah.
And then further down the line, it will come to like, there's no problem, but I know that there's more in me that can come out. So what is it that blocks it? That's where I'm at now. It's
So-
like,
Sorry, it's like what? Sorry, go ahead.
that's where I am at now. So when I have my own inner journey, either I do it myself or with the support of other facilitator, it's not so much about fixing a problem, but it's like, I want to unleash more of my intuitive power, for example. And I
So-
cannot sense what this blockage from here, because it's coming from somewhere deeper. So then we go into the deeper, yes, because there's this and that. So it's less problematic, but it's about unleashing more.
I once read or maybe heard these statements, and personally, I do agree with this, and I would like to get your perspective and maybe further explanation if you agree as well. That you are not your thoughts, and you are not your feelings. And for me, when I heard that or when I read that, it makes sense to me. It seems logical when I'm like being present, and then read or heard that statement. It makes sense because we usually talk about, well, you need to think blah 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 blah, or you need to learn to manage our feelings. So if it's we need to manage, meaning I need to manage my feelings, or I need to think. So who is I here, right? It means I is not the thought. It means I is not the feeling.
It's
So
something else. Yeah.
right, and can you I would like to get your perspective about that, and maybe
Yes.
your opinions about that.
It's very simple, Ali. It's coming back to what I said to the young refugee mentees yesterday. You exist because you came from somewhere. I'm not talking about your country and culture.
Right.
If you have nothing of those, if you have nobody anymore, you have this energy. Where is that coming from? That's you. You is this energy. And this is actually an extension of your creator. Everything comes from your creator. So you are an extension of your creator, and that's who you are, and that's what you are. Thoughts, emotion, this is all connected to you being in the body.
Okay.
Emotions.
Right. But sorry, go ahead. Emotion are go ahead, please.
So what you are is this energy that is leaving your body when you die. You don't die when you die. Your body dies.
Yeah, when our physical body
Correct.
is dead, we the energy, or people some call it the spirit, the ruh, or
The
some
soul.
say consciousness, the soul, right? It's that is
Continues.
Yeah, it continues because that is the we, or the me, the real,
Yes.
right?
That's the real you. Correct. That's your
Right.
authentic you. That's it.
Right. And it must be something beautiful, or when you said love, because it comes from our creator, which is love.
In my belief system, and most of my clients, there's some that is very scientific and they don't have this. It's like nature. I just come back from it. Great. But is nature beautiful? Yes. Okay then. It's so simple. It's so simple. So if your God is love and you believe you come from God, then you are love. But
But
God
it's
has the
so
highest frequency of it, and we are
yeah.
trying to go into the higher frequency of the love.
So
That's the
it
journey.
is the way we use our mind, our thoughts, and our feelings is maybe without us even realizing, especially in the early age, that
Mhm.
that then created this layers upon layers upon layers that uh, that block us from seeing the authentic me,
From
right?
being, not seeing, from
Not
being
just
it.
seeing, but also being, right? Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
true. From being the authentic me. And but I guess a lot of times we don't even realize that we are not our thoughts.
No,
We think that it is, well, that's me, right?
correct, correct. I didn't realize it
Mm,
until I want to say, until I had the burnout, because then I'm like, this is not what I want, how I want to live. I don't want to live in fear. I would
mm,
like to be able to unleash my potential, but I also don't want the life that I had, because it almost killed me. Whatever choices I had almost killed me, literally or metaphorically, because when you had burnout, it's almost like you live your life like a zombie, because a lot of you, the wiring in your body, not working. It's not working, right? So you just live your life not feeling much. That's not a life,
mm. And I think
right? And you don't know what.
people need to understand. I'm sorry, but people need to understand who's listening to this. When you say burnout, it's not just like, oh, I'm tired or I feel
No,
exhausted. It's not
no,
how people usually use it very
correct. People,
lightly. This term.
yes,
Yeah.
people are using this term very loosely. But when I say burnout, I was diagnosed and I could have gone into a clinic, right? Because I
Mm,
could not, my brain, all the information, all the order that my brain has is not well received in the body. The body does not move the way I want it to move. It's just there's nothing happening. I could not stand up from my desk. That was the beginning. And I heard people around that year, they all of a sudden stop on the step going up to the office and they couldn't move their body.
mm.
Okay, this is very scary. That's when there was a complete chaos within your system, that information within your body could not be received well, didn't deliver well, didn't go to the right place, whatever. So if you are a car, you cannot start the car.
Mm,
You cannot get to start the car to run accordingly. So burnout, when you experience burnout, that's what happened.
mm.
You have no energy left. It's so you have no energy to even speak, right? Because you're so exhausted. And then when you want to speak, you don't even know what to say, because you cannot process things.
And
I
but
was lucky I didn't have to go into a clinic. But in Switzerland, we had clinics just to take care of the burnout people, and they could stay there for months.
yeah, and it took you quite a while as well
Yeah.
to recover.
Yes. But the good thing is I didn't have to go through the extreme where I had to be in the clinic for months and months. I could do a lot of the stuff that I was doing, all the process, being being at home, but also at some point I could also work while doing that. But I had the management of my company helping me with time. And I was proposing for some changes of responsibility just to make sure that I could actually allocate enough time and energy to come back. They were very kind. The bank that
Mm.
I was part of, they said, we're not going to lose you for this. So we're going to help you. So what do you need? And then I make suggestions and they said, okay, we give it. And I was very grateful, because the place and that was a full circle moment for me. The place that almost killed me is the place that was also helping me to save
Mm.
myself. So when I left the bank, I left with a lot of love for that place. Okay.
Yeah.
Really.
And
And that was also important. This is
uh,
why you could move from fear into excitement when you are able to have in you more peace of what had happened in your life
uh,
than regrets. So
but how
so
you
the
said
process
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so the process of transformation will require you to process a lot of grief and go into the true deep forgiveness. Forgiveness of you making the choice that ends you there. You could not then say, but it's the bank who worked me to death. And I even say, the bank didn't force me or put a gun against my head to take more. It was me who did it. That was the reason why I was the one who had a burnout and not anyone else in the department, right? It was my choice. I had to own up to that and then find out why. Why did I do that so automatically? And then I realized, oh, it's a trauma from childhood, all these things. Then in the healing process, I had to get to a place where I did get to a place of making peace with that's how my childhood was. And be at peace with it. Because then I can start taking the driving wheels for my life. I was not a child when this happened. I was 34 years old. Okay, so I'm the adult now. So I need to show up as an adult for myself. I need to parent myself.
Mare,
Tell me.
you said that this happened. I mean, obviously, when it happened, it doesn't feel good for sure. But today, when you think about that moment again, what is the emotion that you feel?
None. Gratitude.
Gratitude.
Gratitude, yeah. There's no negative emotion anymore. And that's a sign that I have processed them thoroughly. Okay? Your body does not lie. Your mind lies. Okay? Your mind is so creative. And it was like, you shouldn't feel that, these things. But your body, if it's stress, it's stress. There's nothing you cannot manipulate your body. Okay?
And
So-
why gratitude? Sorry. Of all other emotions, even of all other positive emotions, because there can be many positive emotions. Why gratitude when you think about it?
Because when I was in the process of coming back, I learned about things that I didn't know existed. Okay. I didn't know about the subconscious mind before. And when I learned about the subconscious mind, I started to realize, okay, this is the way to unleash more potential, because that was my original goal to begin with. I thought by being a performer, top performer, that I'm unleashing my potential. I wasn't, because I wasn't even touching my emotion. I wasn't even touching my trauma. You cannot unleash you unleash something, but there's so much more underneath. And I wouldn't know that. I wouldn't know a lot of the things that was unconscious, that was actually creating patterns that could end up in self-sabotaging, not loving myself, doubting myself, imposter syndrome at some point, But when you start healing the depth and the unconscious belief patterns that is stored in the depth of your subconscious mind, imposter syndrome gone completely. You just go, yeah, okay. Then you start to realize, yeah, I can rely on myself on a lot. You're still nervous going into the unknown zone. That's not changing, but you have more trust in yourself that you'll be okay, because you have your GPS on now. But that was because of the burnout. Ali, I have always been an intuitive person that I forget about, right? I was an intuitive child. Then my dad almost died when I was 4. Then suddenly something happened in me. And then I started to go through a very intense emotional journey from then on to 34, right? I started to form an identity. This is my role in my family, because of fear. But because as a child, it's very difficult to understand what you're feeling. And then people around you are too caught up with their own thoughts, right? There's no one there to help me understand what I'm feeling. So I shut it down. Okay. So I rely on my head. I disturb the connections to the intuition, which is here. When I experience burnout, then I realize one thing that I deny of myself is my intuitive self, which is insane. Because your intuition is a way for you to get information from your soul. That's what creating authentic life is getting. You ask yourself, what is authentic life for me? Your soul will tell you. It may look different than what everybody thinks your life should be. But
Your
I close
soul
that.
without you.
Huh?
Did you say your soul without you? Is that what you said?
Your soul will know.
Oh, okay. Because I was
Yeah.
trying to process that thing because I heard
No.
it's your soul without it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No. Your soul will know. Your soul has
Mhm.
all the answers for you.
Mm.
Way better answers than your parents. For sure.
Yeah.
Because your soul is you. You see?
Mm.
So if you ask your soul, what is good for me? A or B, your parent says B, and you're like, no, but your soul is like, but I want A. And I had that glimpses of that connection, right? Throughout until 34. It's not that I cut it completely, but my intuition was so small, particularly when I started to work for the bank, it becomes so much less. Before I worked for the bank, it was probably about 30% so I could still follow something. But when I worked for the bank, it went down to, I don't know, 10%. And then I lived in that mode for years. And then when I had the burnout, I'm like, how did I not know this? It's like when your intuition was like, well, I've been screaming, but you kind of put the volume a bit low and you're too busy, so you don't hear it. And I was telling your body to help scream with me, and you were ignoring us. Okay. So we haven't died. We were just being muted by you. So I was like, okay.
In the beginning, you said about wounds, and it can be emotional wounds. It can also be physical wounds, but you also mentioned about spiritual wounds.
Mm-hmm.
In particular, the spiritual wounds. Can you explain that? Maybe give some examples.
Yes, for me personally, I grew up with message like a implied or implicit or explicit messages that we are sinners. Okay, so your life is about redemption. How can you get from minus 1 billion point to plus so you can go to heaven?
The starting point is already negative.
Yes. So you were like, that doesn't feel right for me, right? Like that didn't sit with me. I don't resonate with it. And I asked my father when I was very young, how does this work really? It doesn't feel right. Why are we so bad? Why are we so sinful? Why am I seeing? Why am I hearing that all you have to do is to collect good points? Why? Maybe I'm already good. And my father was saying, that is a possibility. Why don't you explore? Thankfully, I had the father who is like, you're absolutely right. I don't think he never imposed his beliefs. He also believes that, we are love. He doesn't preach it. He embodied it. But he also appreciated that. I think you should figure this out yourself and take a lifetime to do it. It's fine. Okay.
It's worth the time.
Yes, it's worth the time. So I had this safe feeling because with my father, I could ask so many questions that doesn't feel right for me. That doesn't resonate with me. Things that I'm hearing that doesn't resonate with me. So spiritual wound is when you may, or one of your, or many of your ancestors may be experience a trauma that what you believe to be fundamental to you created danger or death for you. Okay, so for example, So, for
Yes, ma'am.
example, if you are a minor, if one of your ancestors, like many, many years ago, or yourself, for example, you become a member of a cult, then your sense of connection to love becomes very, very limited, because you are told that in order for you to be able to go to heaven is if you do this, 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 and this. Okay? Then your spirit is wounded. There's no space for you as love.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Or, for
Okay.
example, if you, in the Middle Ages, there is a time when, in Europe, for example, there's a time when life is there are a lot of belief system that is connected to nature, right? And then religion came and they started to kill all these other that are not Christian, because in Europe is Christianity, right? So all the people that they say witches, these are the people who are very in tune with nature. Okay? They're all killed, burned. That's
Yeah.
spiritual wound. That your choice of connecting to the self in you and your creator invoke danger or tragic death. That's wound. And this, you may not experience it in your lifetime, but it could be that if any generation ago, there one or many of your ancestors experienced this,
Yeah.
then you may have that, even though it's not your experience. You see?
Yes. Yeah. And so in this case, my understanding so far, or my interpretation, if I might say, of this spiritual wound is something that kind of create a disconnect, whether partial or total disconnect, on your connection with your creator.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in this also, it could be that we don't have to experience torture, right? Sometimes deep pain could bring this. For example, when you lose a child, when it's not natural for parents to bury their kids, right? It's not natural. It's more natural that kids bury their parents. So when your child died, and the emotion that came up is very strong, you may even have this feeling that where is God why is this happening? If there is God, why is this happening? And then you start to have this like, I don't believe in God anymore, or God is cruel, or God is whatever. It comes from a very intense pain, understandably. So then you start to you start to say things and out of pain, right? And you do say all kinds of things when you're in pain. And then and because you cannot overcome the pain, and it's very difficult to overcome the pain, but if you're not making peace with the pain, this is the other thing. Can you ever get over grief? I don't know if you can, but you make peace with this. And if you're not making peace with this, there's a part of you is going to be like, don't talk to me about God. Don't talk to me about, this is also spiritual wound. Okay.
In that case, again, based on what we were just discussing earlier, if a person reacted that way, right, it could also mean that before that horrible event happened, right, the disconnect is already there.
I think so. Yeah.
Right. So, because if the connection before that thing happened is strong, how the person would react can be different.
Right? Correct. So we take another example. I have read a story of of a murder in the US.
Uh-huh.
And the father of the person who get murdered forgive and embrace the person who killed his son. Okay? And people were like, when people in this position, normally I will not let myself happy until the person who killed my son are in prison forever. You know, we out of pain, we say this, but this person, this father, and he was in court showing up. He had such a strong connection with his creator and himself that he's able to forgive this man who had to go to jail, of course, from killing his son. He came to the guy apologized, the murderer. This man hugged the person and said, I forgive you. And this is so healing. Because the father has great connection already, very strong connection with himself. When you have good connection with yourself, you have good connection with it. Doesn't take away the pain. The pain was there, but he was able to rise with the processing of his pain, to be able to say, I could see, because the guy was apologizing, I could accept that his upbringing get him into this phase where he killed my son, and I'm choosing, as part of my healing, to forgive him, because I need to be at peace with this, even when, and he has this inner strength to be able to do that, right? And the guy who was being forgiven, I'm pretty sure he's going to heal in a way that he could never imagine before. And when if he ever leave the jail, right? He probably would be one of the most impactful people to bring a message of own your shit, apologize. Sorry, I use this word. Apologize, heal, and pay it forward.
And
right?
each and every one of us actually has the potential to raise ourselves to that level, right?
Yes.
Regardless whether, I mean, this is my belief, regardless whether at this moment we believe we can become like that or not, but the potential is actually there.
Yeah. The potential is there. And I know that because I was going through that, right? A lot of people don't know this, Ali, but some very few people knew about this, and they were like, what the hell are you doing? As part of my healing journey, let's track back. I have always a fascination or a curiosity, let's say, it's not fascination, a curiosity to understand why people kill others, be it on one-to-one level or on collective level. And I want to understand, this is since we're young, right? I want to understand what makes them like that. What makes them like that? So it became a point of a journey of understanding this. This is way before I had the burnout. And people who knew me, they didn't understand. They're like, wow, you have this dark side. You're not scared to get to the dark. I'm like, the dark is not scaring me. I want to understand, because I said to them, because my feeling or my belief at the time is that we are actually love, but there's something else. And I want to know what that is. And this is because my father was saying, explore. So I explore, right? So when I had the burnout, I started to realize, subconscious mind patterns and all this connected to trauma and what does. So I read a lot and I go through a lot of my healing process, and I could understand how that impacts how I chose and how I react to things automatically, because the information is kept by the body, and the body was reacting in an attempt to protect you, right? So I learned a different facet of burnout, of trauma. And it helped me to recognize also what is going on with my clients, right? So Then I think it was 2020, maybe. I can't remember whether I think it's during or after COVID. I came across this documentary called the Compassionate Prison Project, and it's in the US. And I was like, yes, this feels right for me, this project. Which basically they wanted to bring in an aspect of healing towards the prisoners, to understand how trauma impact them, that automatically they went into the defense and attacking people. This is also because, and also to help them to bring back or to rebuild the bridge between where they are at and love that is always inside them. People ask me, do you think there are people that are evil? Probably. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe love is so little that, but I don't know if God is evil, then maybe, but I don't think God is evil. So I think it's just love that is contaminated by so much more darkness, but there is always this little bit of something. But there's certain people that has way too much that you can, and they're not willing to entertain that there is their love also, right? So they were looking to bring this, and one of the initiatives they did was, do you want to be a pen pal for the people who sit in the death row waiting for their dates?
Wow.
So I applied. They are all in the US. They're all in the US, but pen pal can be done from anywhere. And I thought a lot about it. I didn't want to heal them. And one of a very close person of mine, why do you do this? I think I said, it's very interesting. I don't know if there's one answer to this, but for me, I think people deserve to die in dignity and connected to love. I understand. I think it's good that they're there because they have to live the consequence of their action, but it doesn't mean that they're not lovable from a universal love perspective. It's not that I love them as people like that I know them, but I think it's nice to be recognized that they're human, right? Because, and I said to people, I think that's what I could tell you why I do it. So I get a pen pal, and I think he didn't want to write. I sent him 2 letters. He didn't write back. So I said, okay, then I leave it, right? But because I tried and I asked for another person, but they didn't give it to me. But it was the process of, for me, the process of connecting to this is part of who I am. But that's also part of my growth. I didn't want to fix them. I don't. I just want to connect with them from human to human. And for some reason, it is very important for me to show up for that. And then this friend was sending me an article that was written about a priest that is also coming into the prison and then sit with the people who are about to go to death row. And he said something similar. He was like, it's a very healing, dignifying process, not only for the people that is going to the death row, but also for him. Right? And when I read this, I said to my friend, I feel very similar with this priest that is doing this thing. Yeah. So
thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate you sharing that as well. Wow. Again, I can feel this energy. This really like positivity that I feel. Even though it's not an easy story, but
No.
yet the positivity, the energy, I can really feel it. And I think now that I'm really thinking out loud right now, I think it also because this comes from your authentic self as well. So, which is love, as you said. So that's why
Yes.
the action comes from that energy.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah. Uh,
Yes.
Maddie, before I know we're coming to close, but I have a couple more questions if you don't
Sure.
mind. For those who might be experiencing challenges and starting to getting to feel exhausted or feeling very stressful or very depressed, or, um, that that made them start to realize I don't want to keep living like this,
Mhm.
right? But still don't know what do I have to do. Uh, what's your suggestion? Is there anything that how can we know this is something that I can handle myself or something that I need help from someone else? If it's at least just for the first thing that I need to do by myself, is there anything that I can do first? What would your
Yes.
suggestion be?
Yes. I think we underestimate the power of allowing ourselves to want something different, right? So when we are not acknowledging the courage of wanting something different, we will not connect with the courage of doing something different. So the first thing is to be less judgmental, even when you don't know. This is the issue, that people are very judgmental about themselves. And then they start to get trapped in this, like, I cannot do, I do not do, I rule. So
Mm,
first thing is to pat oneself on the shoulder and say, you're so brave, and stay in that energy for a long time. It's not
mm,
easy, and it's courageous to allow
mm,
yourself to say, I want something different. And connect with that courage, because you already have it. Even when you don't know how to do it, stay there. And when you connect to the courage will grow. When we pay attention to something, what it is that we are paying attention to will grow. So
mm,
instead of focusing, I don't know how to do it, actually, focus on, I have the courage to want something different, and stay in that energy for some time until it's growing. And then when you feel like, yes, because when the more you embody your courage, the more doors is going to open. Possibilities will open. But if you are sticking to the, I don't know how to do it, I'm too scared to do it, that's, you are making the fear bigger.
mm.
Yeah. It's normal that you don't know. This is the other thing. Because you
Wow.
live your life following rules and regulations and the well-worn path by others, because safety comes from doing the same thing again and again. So if you don't know what to do, you're in the right path. Okay? Then this is also, embody this. I'm in the right path. I'm in the right
Mm.
path.
And
And the
so
next
it's
is,
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
this is critical, is what is the emotion that you want to feel more of, right? So for example, I'm exhausted living this life, feeling like I'm not appreciated, right? So then you start asking a question, okay, how can I feel appreciated today that I can give it to myself? And just
Mm,
do it. Do it after some time, and then you'll see when there's a block, that's when you get help. Because the journey towards what you want is, you just do it one step at a time. Ask all
mm,
the people who climb the Mount Everest. They don't say, they will tell you one step at a time. That's the only way.
mm,
One step at a time. And then I build up my strength so that I can do a longer step, a longer distance every day. Da, da, da. But it's one step at a time. And then and like climbing the Everest mountain, they need a personal trainer to help their hips, for example, to be stronger, or their whatever. That's when you're like, okay, I've done as much as I could, and now I need a jump start, because
mm,
now I feel like what I know how to do is all done, and there's still more to do. And then you get a jump start. The jump start is when you work with a catalyst, or you learn something about methods to help you do certain things. Or in my case, I have a free program called the Unconditional Self-Love Embodiment for free that people can get and use. This is
mm.
why I put it out. It's a very intense program, and people can use it. You don't have to sit with me, but they will sit with my energy in there, right? And then see if you still need help. And it's okay to need help. normal.
This is the one that you put on YouTube, correct?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So
There are, I think for episodes there will be total 7. So three more still comes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I'll make sure that people can find your all of your platforms description of this video
Sure.
as well.
Sure.
Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. One last thing then. One last thing.
Sure.
Actually, I want to ask so much more, but I understand you're kind of thinking. One last thing. Is there any questions that you think I should have asked but I haven't asked yet? No. Maybe something
You
that you believe something that you believe is important to share, but because I haven't asked it yet, you haven't shared it.
Yes.
So
The one question that I ask all the times, because being my authentic self is very important, is this. There's 2 questions. One, who am I when I no longer achieve or when I cannot achieve anymore? What am I when I can no longer achieve or I don't achieve anything anymore?
mm.
The
And
answer
that
to this
question,
is your
huh?
this is the answer to this, and this is like a question that cannot be answered overnight. Okay,
Mm,
it's like for me it's one of the core questions. Who am I when I don't achieve anymore or I cannot achieve anymore? So then what's left of me, right? And what am I when I cannot achieve and do not achieve anymore? So whether it could be that I still want to achieve but I cannot, or I
mhm,
don't want to achieve anymore. And why is it achieve is because I'm so driven by achievements, right? So some people may have the question to say, who am I when I'm not a mother? Or
mm,
who am I if I'm not a business person? So all the whatever it is that you are associating your identity with, strip that away. What is left?
mm,
What are you when you have no inorganic identity? Or
mm,
identity that can evolve,
yeah,
you see?
yeah.
And this is something that is nice to regularly ask and sit with
Even if
and embody.
even if at first the answer might confuse you or
Mhm.
might make you feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yeah,
You
that
for
is.
sure it will confuse you and make you extremely uncomfortable, for sure. Our identity is formed by expectations. So what if
Mm,
I don't have this? What will then left if I don't want to do these expectations anymore?
mm,
Or I cannot do the expectation anymore? Because the worst thing is, do you know why I was asking this question to myself? Is because I have witnessed old people that cannot be so active anymore. And sometimes in my mother's case, dementia, right? So I
mm,
sat with her for 2 years and I asked myself, if I were in my mom's situation, would I die in regret or in resentment?
mm,
I still want to die in peace. And I think she did die in peace. But as somebody who is observing, right, I was triggered by that. And so then my question becomes, so it's not so much about what I do and what I have, it's
mm,
what I am. But then you would not know that answer if you never ask the question. If I take away my sweater and the undergarment and all these things and just completely connect to my essence, my soul, then I would not know the characters of, or so am I love or not?
mm.
Like, you see, and how much love is it?
Ah,
You see? And this gives me so much comfort when it's okay, I'll just embody love because it doesn't matter what I do. And when I don't do anything, I emanate this. And this is nice to know that you emanate something consciously and unconsciously that can bring upliftment. Even when I'm so old and just sleeping in my bed the whole day and not dead yet, but I emanate love. That's nice. That's a nice thought, right?
Yeah. And so in a way, we need to keep, I mean, regularly asking that question from time to time, and until the answer is something that we feel good about, and once we get to that point, it's also maintaining that as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
And when you say it's that you feel good about, is from here, not here. So
Right.
good, yes, with that you resonate the most. And when you connect to this answer, you get inspired or excited. That's when you know that's it. And you're like, yeah, okay. Now how do I do it? How do I sustain it?
Wow. Mare, thank you so very, very, very much. And if anybody wants to know more about what you do, and maybe wants to reach out to you, where can they find you? Can you share?
Yes, the easiest, www.upliftmylife.today, my Instagram, Astuti Marto, and LinkedIn, Astuti Martosudirdjo. There's not that many people with this name. You will find me there. And also my YouTube channel, Uplift My Life Today. Uplift underscore my underscore life underscore today.
And by the time we are recording this, you already published how many episodes of that?
I think there will be 5 by then. There are total 7 in there,
Yeah.
but it's so deep. Each episode. So I would like to clarify with people: you are not expected to complete each of this episode in one sitting. Okay. You may need to come back 3 or 4 times because there's so much stuff there. And you will see, oh my God, it's 1 hour and a half. I don't have time for it. No, you're not supposed to do it in one go. You will see it. Just follow. And then you'll go, oh, okay, yes. You may want to take 2 days off from the process because you have to process a lot and you come back again. Okay. Because there is both. It's going to be a process that involves both the subconscious reprogramming and also the conscious mind processing.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing this, for sharing your knowledge, for sharing your wisdom, and I guess most importantly, for sharing your energy.
Thank
I
you.
really, really appreciate that. I'm very, very grateful that you are here, even though physically we're across oceans. But I mean, I guess energetically, it's like really, very much connected. And I'm very sure everyone who's listening to this can feel that as well. And hopefully they will not just listen or watch, but also utilize what you shared to also improve and increase their quality of life as well. So again, thank you so much. But I hope this won't be the last time that we have this conversation. Looking forward to more conversation with you as well.
Thank you, Ali. I always love my conversation with you. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Take care, everybody. Ciao.
Bye.